Due to Brexit, the bureaucracy is blocking competition horses from Great Britain from entering the EU. One stud is even considering emigrating. Morgan Kent has just had a nightmare of travel behind her. The show jumper and horse breeder from Wetherby in Yorkshire in the north of England drove with her partner with 2 trucks and 16 horses from England to Spain. Her partner is the Irish show jumper Richard Howley, who's qualified for the Olympic Games. The horses that Kent and Howley brought to EU territory were to be competing in tournaments. And they must be from the UK, not Ireland. It would have been easier. It was harder than Kent had imagined. Since January 1st, the UK has been a third country vis-à-vis the EU, and the previous type of departure, with 2 pages of export certificate and a veterinarian's license, they were allowed on the ferries in the past, and that has fundamentally changed. A 3-country agreement between France, Ireland and the UK for the simplified transport of horses also lost its validity with Brexit. Great Britain reached an agreement that basically cross-border movements of horses are allowed, but it didn't really get any easier because of Brexit. First of all, we learned that we needed a new driving license to transport over 8 horses, says Kent. And we need a certificate that the driver is able to look after the animals, since the British ID cards for that would no longer be valid. In order to receive these certificates, Kent and her drivers had to go to Ireland, the closest EU country, in order to quickly obtain the corresponding EU driving license. When this first barrier was overcome, she learned that the required export documents had increased from 2 to 36 pages per horse, which cost her vet 2 days of work. Our agent then had to send these documents to an agency in France, which then sent them to French customs, because direct contact is not allowed, she says. We had to bear the costs ourselves. But that wasn't all. The documents had to be 100% correct, but unfortunately there were a few small errors, and so it went back and forth. Kent describes the next few days that she lost. Ultimately, she had to accept a 3-day delay in departure. All travel plans, including the permanently booked accommodation and stables, had to be renegotiated. When Kent and her team finally got to Dover, they again had to wait and look for stables. We needed an appointment with a French vet in Calais to get permission to travel, and everything was checked and examined again, complains Kent. People can understand that, but it's not fair to horses. Yeah, but the horses didn't vote for Brexit. In any case, she does not understand the necessity of bureaucracy for sport horses. These are perfectly fit and healthy animals which ultimately must not arrive tired and weakened for their work, she complains further. Not to mention the new fees for the carnets, that means the customs documents, for each horse, which can cost up to 400 euros per horse. So far, she doesn't know whether she can sell horses with such carnets. Equestrian sport has not yet found any solution for these new regulations. Kent expects another load of horses in the coming weeks, after which she and her team will stay in Spain for 2 months. But she's already dreading the return trip. Kent and Howley have already thought of emigrating to the Netherlands or France with the entire stud, she says. The British Equestrian Federation announced on request that many of its members have had similar experience. Göran Eckerström from the FEI World Equestrian Federation and Ingmar de Vos from the International Equestrian Confederation want to meet Ursula von der Leyen, President of the EU Commission, this week. They demand that the part of the new European animal welfare regulations that relates to horses is suspended for the time being. New regulations should include a mechanism for the continuation of the existing movements for horses within the EU member states and should reflect those of the previous 3-country agreement, explains Eckerström. On the British side, the government has already tried to increase the number of certifiers for animal health certificates to leave the country. A fund of the equivalent of 900,000 euros is available to train veterinarians, said a government spokeswoman. 1,500 veterinarians could now issue such certificates. In 2019, there were only 600. Still, James Russell, president of the British Veterinary Association, is concerned about how veterinarians should cope. Another fault is a lack of doctors from the EU who want to work in the UK. And that in turn is due to the coronavirus lockdown and the new immigration law. And most of all, Brexit. And just a small comment on the visit to Ursula von der Leyen. It's not just about a new EU law, it's about Brexit. The UK is a third country now. And it can't be as easy as before with these travels. The checks have to be different on WTO rules, by the way. And they can't be as easy as in a member state. That's the natural consequence of Brexit. And we hear this all the time with the musicians, now with the equestrians, we heard this with the racers. Well, you have to understand the UK is a third country now and does not have the benefits of a member anymore. And once again, that is the natural consequence of Brexit, not what some idiots always put in the comments, the punishment of the EU. That is the normal status of a third country, even with a trade agreement. That is what you chose. And if you want to stay informed, and we will hear much more about what this situation means in the future, please subscribe to my channel and to my other channels. I'll see you in my next video. Auf Wiedersehen.